The feelings of unworthiness and inadequacy are often completely debilitating. The only thing that we feel like we can do is actually nothing. If you feel unworthy about your job, about your relationships, or just even your place in society, then that can completely ruin your life. In this video, we're going to talk about techniques to get over this feeling, and I'll also be performing an unworthiness relief activation. So let's get started. Everyone was born a perfect being of light. Coming into this world, all you wanted to do, and really all anyone wants to do, is love and explore. But what happens? Of course, we discover that this world isn't all about exploration and love. Actually, kind of the opposite. Our society is dominated by fear, and you were influenced throughout your childhood by very important people who used fear as their dominant emotion. You shouldn't blame them. This is a natural occurrence. But your parents, your teachers, your siblings, your classmates all used fear often when dealing with you. And as a result, they abused you in ways, or they created childhood traumas. And these experiences changed the way that you looked at life. Now, you weren't just loving and you weren't just exploring, but you were questioning and you were saying, maybe I deserve that. Why did that happen to me? What's going on now and what's going on next? And all of a sudden, you went from that pure childhood innocence to one that was also dominated by fear. You were afraid it was going to happen again. You were afraid that you were not good enough to ward off that sort of behavior. And that influenced absolutely everything that you did in your life. If you think about the way that you think, the words that you say to yourself, those words define who you are. If you say, I am amazing and I know I'm going to help the world or help many people. I know that I am innocent and that I do want to love everyone and I want to love myself and I want to thrive and have this amazing life. And I know that I will. If those are the thoughts that you think to yourself, then those are the sorts of things that are going to happen to you throughout your life. However, if you say, well, I'm not good enough at that, and I'm not good enough at this, and people aren't out to help me, they're out to hurt me, and I am unable to contribute to society, and I blame other people for it, or I blame myself for it, these are the types of thoughts that are going to keep you back. And so I realize that this is easy for me to say, right? But thoughts do create actions. They do create results in your life. And thinking is something that you can control to some degree. Think about it like breathing. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and take much deeper breaths or take very short breaths. You have direct control over your breathing. However, if you are not actively controlling your breathing takes over for you. It provides enough oxygen for your system to survive and to hopefully thrive. The same is true of thoughts. If you choose to actively control or choose your thoughts, then that's exactly what will happen. But if you are not an active participant in your thinking, then your thoughts will take over for themselves. And thoughts, when they're left on their own, can definitely have some problematic results. Your thinking is all about survival. When we were a primitive species and we had death around every corner in the form of predators or injury or sickness, then our minds were our only defenses. We did not have sharp claws or armor. We were soft and squishy and very easily injured or killed. So the only thing that we had to our advantage was the use of our minds. And what did our minds do? They predicted every possible outcome, every negative possible outcome, so that we could navigate around it. So your brain comes about it naturally. If you allow it to just take over, or you sit back and watch, then your brain is going to go down that survival route. So your mission and your goal now is to start to decide which thoughts you want. I want to have the positive thoughts. I want to have the thoughts that I am capable of doing this. Even if you don't totally believe it, you begin to believe it because those are your thoughts. And if you need to, if you'd like to, write them down. I'm very capable of this. I am an excellent romantic partner. I have amazing qualities and list out those qualities. You have to almost convince yourself of this, because for the longest time, a major part of you has been trying to convince you that you are unworthy, that you can't do the things that you would like to be able to do. So now you have two opposing concepts. You have the one-sided view that says that you can't, and now you have to foster and encourage the side of you that says that you can. And so by writing these things out and by repeating them in your head, you will start to convince yourself of this. I have a video about depression that you can watch right here that goes into a little bit more detail about this, because that negative thinking part of you I see as almost a personification. There's almost a separate version of you that's trying to convince you that you're no good or that you aren't good enough. And that version of you, it's not a true version of you. It is not the real you. It is one that's trying to protect you. So it's in survival mode, trying to make sure that you don't fail, because failure means death in our primitive times. Now in this society, failure doesn't mean death. Failure means lessons, and I get to learn, and I get to do it again and try again until I get it right. In our primitive times, one failure might mean that you never get to try it again. So if you're familiar with the concept of your higher self, if you are familiar with the idea that you are not just this limited three-dimensional being, that you are actually a multi-dimensional one that has come here to have a limited three-dimensional experience. And part of that experience is to have fear and is to have these lower vibrational emotions. But your true self is that high vibrational, multi-dimensional version. And that version of you observes your third-dimensional self with love, with unconditional love, with nurturing, with support, with this undying confidence in your ability to learn the lessons that you're here to learn and to thrive in uniquely your own way. So another way to do this is to remember that that version of you does exist and it's accessible inside of you. So one of the ways to find that version of yourself is to go into a slight meditative state. You definitely don't have to be an expert meditator to do this. But even right now, you could go ahead and close your eyes, wherever you're sitting, whatever you're doing, and picture yourself sitting exactly where you are. So now you're looking at yourself from a third person perspective. You're seeing yourself sitting there. I mean, really see yourself, who you truly are exactly as you are right now. And this perspective is actually the perspective of your higher self observing you. And so now I want you to look at yourself from that higher dimensional perspective. What are you seeing? You're seeing this amazing being that's been trying so hard, that wants all these amazing things, that wants to love all unconditionally, who wants to love themselves unconditionally. And they've made mistakes, sure, but really, do mistakes exist? They don't really exist. There is really no such thing as mistakes. Mistakes require judgment, and you have to judge whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. And that starts to get into some muck. We don't really need to worry about that, because actually every mistake brings with it lessons, possibilities, opportunities. If you hadn't done this one thing that you consider wrong, then you might not have met this important person in your life, or you might not have grown in the way to make you exactly who you are today. And even if you grew in the wrong way, again, this is judgment, so this is you deciding you've grown in the wrong way, then now is your opportunity to overcome that, to transcend that. And so that is part of your plan as well. So you're going to be able to, no matter what you see about your past, about who you are, is this opportunity to grow, to ascend, and to become exactly who you want to be. Because who you want to be is exactly who you actually are. Unworthiness does require judgment. And as I was just talking about a second ago, judgment is a lie. There is no such thing as good or bad. Everything just is. Sure, immediately you think, oh, but people suffering is bad, or animal suffering is bad, or people not treating each other nicely is bad. Those are judgments. You are casting that judgment on reality when, in fact, everything is perfect exactly as it is. Perfect, right? And I say that in quotes because everything is perfect with flaws, not just absolutely perfect and fantastic and everything's 100%. No, everything is all over the place. And that's exactly what you came here to experience. All of this perfection all around us all the time. And you are perfect as well. You have created this incredible life for yourself. And whether you see it as perfect or you see it as a big screwed up mess is just the judgment that you're casting on yourself at this very moment. So take a step back and really see yourself. See yourself as this beautiful, incredible being who doesn't believe in themselves, but is actually quite capable and quite amazing. And so as you do the exercises where you start to change the thoughts, when you have a negative thought, tell it to go away. It's not true, it's not correct, and it's not worth thinking about any further. And replace it with the opposite. If you say, I'm not very good at this, immediately go, wait a minute, I am very good at this, or it'll be easy for me to get good at this. Those sorts of positive thoughts will guide you to positive actions, and those positive actions will start to convince you that those thoughts of unworthiness are completely untrue. The last thing I want to talk about is that thoughts then influence emotions. Thoughts are fast, like I was saying earlier, that you can control them just like breathing. But emotions are slow. You can't control them, just like you can't control your heart rate very easily, right? It is possible to control your heart rate, and it is possible to control your emotions, but it's not nearly as easy, and it takes a little bit longer. In the case of controlling your heart rate, you can actually do that by changing your breathing. The faster you breathe, the more likely that your heart rate will increase. The slower you breathe, the more likely your heart rate will decrease. So this same thing applies once again. The more positive thoughts you have, you will follow with positive emotions. The more negative thoughts you have, you will follow with negative emotions. So even if you're in the middle of a very negative emotion, all about how unworthy you are, if you begin to have positive thoughts about how actually worthy you are, then those emotions will slowly move toward that direction. It might not come as fast as you want it to, but it will come. And so there is one more trick here that I'm going to be doing that will help make those emotions move along much faster. This is one of my healing modalities. I can change the feeling, I can change the negative signature from any emotional experience. And so in this video, I'm going to change your feelings of unworthiness and inadequacy through an energy healing activation. And really all you have to do is participate in this activation, which I'll guide you right through. So for many people, the effects are instantaneous. As soon as I say the keyword, all of a sudden you feel way better. You are also welcome to listen to this as many times as you need, because what often happens is, yes, you feel much better, but maybe the next day or the next day, you start to feel back to worse again. So you can listen to the activation again and experience the similar results. As you listen to it over and over again, you will start to retrain your body. Because essentially emotions are just frequencies, and you're tuning in to the frequency of unworthiness. So what I'm doing is I'm retuning your body so that you tune into a frequency of unworthiness, but it doesn't carry with it nearly the same negative feelings. It's very mild in comparison to what the unworthiness experience that you're having right now actually is. And so your body will then get used to saying, I feel unworthy, and then you'll tune in to this new frequency, which is not nearly as debilitating at all and quite easy for you to get over. So I'm so excited to do this for you. So all you have to do right now is close your eyes and take a nice big deep breath. Relax as you exhale. Feel yourself sinking into the chair that you're sitting in. This activation is nice and simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to say breath in. And when I do, you're going to take a nice big deep breath you're going to hold it at the top, and you're going to wait for me to say the word awaken. And what we're going to be doing is shifting your unworthiness emotion to a much less debilitating one. You might not even notice it at all. Breath in. Awaken! Excellent. Okay, when you're ready to feel way better about the way that you've been feeling, then I invite you to open your eyes. Thank you so much for participating in that activation. It was very simple, wasn't it? All we did there is retuned your unworthiness emotional experience to a different one. So I'd love it if you commented below and told everybody what you experienced when we did that activation. For if you've never received an activation like that before, a lot of times people are kind of blown away by what can happen just by watching a YouTube video, right? So I'd love it if you shared with everyone. And it also helps promote the channel, of course. So if you'd like another activation similar to this, I have one for nervousness. Nervousness is a great one because there are so many situations in life that you feel nervous about. Asking somebody out on a date, or asking for a raise, or giving a talk in front of a group or in front of a camera. So this activation works almost the same as the unworthiness activation. And you can download that from my website, and I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can do that. So thank you so much once again for watching this video and participating in that activation. I would love it if you subscribed and checked out the other videos because I have a lot more activations where those came from. Thanks again. I love you unconditionally, and I'll see you in the next video.